afternoon on the harbor as UMass Boston women's soccer opens conference play against the Eastern Connecticut State Warriors. Live from Monin Soccer Field on the campus of UMass Boston, I'm Milton Posner. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to open with the season stats for both teams. UMass Boston coming into this game, no wins, 3 losses, 2 draws against the 1-1-2 East Con Warriors. You can take a look at the stats here, and you can see neither one of these teams has had the offense that they would like to have in the early stages of the season. In particular, the Beacons are going to need to find some goal scorers. They might find it in Lindsay Buscarin, who's going to be our first player to watch. She's got one of the team's 2 goals through the first 5 games. Scored it in the season opener right on this field 2 weeks ago against Smith College on a miraculous backwards header. Going to be looking to pull some of that magic, but I think even a more pedestrian goal would suffice for the Beacons at this stage. They have been shut out in their last 3 games, looking for their first goal since their second game of the season on September 2nd. On the EastCon side, the player to watch is Briley Harnois. He's got 4 goals on the season, 3 of them coming by way of a hat trick against Fitchburg State in their second game of the season. That was EastCon's lone win on the year to go along with their 2 draws and loss. It was a 5-2 win on the road against Fitchburg. And for Briley Harnois, the sophomore, had a couple of goals last year, has already surpassed that total and will look to continue her rampage against the Beacons. Now we're going to pop some quick highlights from the Beacons' last game. Their last home game. It was a 0-0 draw against Caltech. When we get back, we'll get you the starters and the opening kickoff. Well, with the starters announced, we're going to give them to you. We're going to start with the visitors from Eastern Connecticut State University. In goal, it's going to be Emily Wallace, making her fifth start in as many team games this season. Alongside her, Daria DiBiasio, Carly Alston, Carmen Nieves, got Madison Palmer, Emily Barata, and Morgan Kelly on the defensive side. On the offensive side, Haley Kaka, Briley Harnois, Danny Rovellino, and Caitlin Herbert for the Warriors. And for the hosting Beacons, Maria Spilios, 00, starting in goal. Has played the last couple games after missing the first few in protocol. And then alongside her on the defensive side, Elena Keeley making her return. Danny Anderson on the defensive side. Kelly McNeil, Sarah Gavin alongside her. And the forwards and midfielders, Kalia Eaton, Andrea Rivera, Elia Velez, and Sarah Kelly to go along with Carolyn Golt and Kaylee Haynes. Opening of conference play here. The Beacons, projected to finish second in the poll, got the first place vote belonging to WestCon, who won the poll with a unanimous 8 first place votes. For Eastern Connecticut State University, right smack in the middle of the pack at 5th. But as UMass Boston head coach Amy Zombeck cautioned before the season, spots 2 through 8 are going to be a battle every game. Anything can happen. That aside from WestCon, there's no clear hierarchy here. And that every game needs to be treated as such. So UMass Boston to take it. Sunny with a slight breeze. 67 degrees on a sparkling day on the harbor. And UMass Boston looking to turn around, in particular, their offensive fortunes, and they'll start with Elia Velez. Sliding it over. Sarah Kelly on the sideline. Kaylee Haynes down the near side. Slings it up. Kalia Eaton. Beacons with a cross. And just ejected for the moment. So UMass Boston finding their way into the teeth of the Warrior defense very quickly. And that one dribbles harmlessly into the arms of Emily Wallace. 5th start in goal after barely playing last year. But she has stepped up in a major way. She's been consistent in her play and helped to set the tone for the defense. Beacons down the far sideline. They slide it down to Eaton with a couple of defenders plastered on her. Moves away toward the middle, fires across, but nobody there to receive it. And once again, Eastern's going to eject over the sideline. The game taking place in the offensive half for UMass Boston thus far. Minute and a half gone. Warriors still struggling to get the ball out. UMass Boston playing aggressively. Velez moving into the midfield. Tries to slide it over, but it's picked off. Briley Harnois and her teammates trying to make a charge out of it. UMass Boston trying to pinch them in on the sideline. Here comes the run. Here come the Warriors. And the momentum finally halted there on Harnois. He scored 4 out of the 6 goals for Eastern thus far in the season. Pass comes ahead to Kaylee Haynes, but it's interrupted. Morgan Kelly, center back. And Eastern once again pops it over the sideline. For UMass Boston, 5 games into the season, 3 of them losses, 2 of them draws. And after a 1-goal draw and a 1-goal loss in their first 2 games of the season, that would be Smith and the Coast Guard Academy on September 1st and 2nd. There's been 3 games Middlebury, Caltech, and Babson without a goal. Eastern hasn't fared a ton better. Aside from a 5-2 win over Fitchburg, there hasn't been too much scoring. In fact, neither one of these teams has a goal within the last week and a half. So not necessarily anticipating a scoring slugfest here. And whoever can get on the board first is going to send a major message, perhaps a little more so than usual. Kelly McNeil surveying her options. She comes up on the midfield line. Harnois to defend. McNeil gets past her. Slide pass up. Kaylee Haynes fields it nicely. Tap back to Sarah Kelly. McNeil floats across into the box. And breaking up the play nicely was Emily Barata of the Warriors. Harnois now looking for an outlet. Most of her teammates behind her, and that's where she goes. Toss up. Daria DiBiasio. Fielded there, Carly Alston in the midfield. Eastcon trying to retain. Eastcon in the dark blue jerseys with a white trim. Beacons wearing the inverse. And UMass Boston with a very aggressive press here. And some nice passing. DiBiasio over the midfield line. Chance to run with Haynes in hot pursuit. Haynes got good closing speed on her, though. And the Beacons will take the ball. Velez fields an underpowered pass. Flips ahead, Haynes in open space. Instead, it's going to go to Morgan Kelly. Open space, who's going to run it down out there? It's Madison Palmer. Can't quite get there. The Beacons quickly in. Elena Kelly for the Beacons. A welcome sight, certainly, to see her back in action. Goes up along the far sideline. And ultimately out near the side. Still belonging to the Beacons. Elena Keeley. Started in the last game. Was recovering from an ACL tear sustained in September of last season. Her return marks just short of a year to the day. Head coach Amy Zombeck with some high hopes for her to help invigorate this forward line, which has been largely anemic to start the season. Knew there were going to be some difficulties. The graduations of, among others, Mary Jo Murphy and Allie Crawford. A couple of stud scorers from the midfield, or excuse me, from the defensive back and midfield positions respectively, accounting for a meaningful portion of the team's offense. And now leave behind a team not so much lacking in veteran presence, but with players who know they're going to need to step up and find their offensive leaders as they head into the conference slate. With that slate having begun, now would be the time to make the turn. It's not two completely separated sections, the non-conference and the conference, for either of these teams. There are a few more non-conference games to be played. UMass Boston's case, they'll be taking on Wheaton, Worcester Polytechnic, among others. But the bulk of the games going forward now are going to be the Little East games, as Emily Wallace just gets rid of the ball in front of the advancing UMass forwards. Harnois giving chase. We'll go all the way to pressuring the goalie. She expends a lot of energy here. Briley Harnois standing just 5 feet tall, out of Attleboro, Mass, but with a lot of quickness and end-to-end speed and a will to affect the outcome. Remember, we said the hat trick against Fitchburg on September the 6th, plus a goal against Wentworth in the season opener, responsible for that one being a draw. Throw in comes Eastcon's going to try to eject Captain Carolyn Galt. Gold tries to swing it wide. Picked off, Haley Kaka. And UMass Boston will keep it in their own backfield. Danny Anderson starting the game in the back position. We may see her move up the field depending on the rotations. Haynes cutting inside, fields the pass. Tosses it back, Kalia Eaton. Covered nicely. Morgan Kelly. And UMass Boston's going to have to try again from a side out. Velez, here's the cross into the box. Oh, and a beautiful save by Emily Wallace. Andrea Rivera coming across, had the angle, but Wallace read it nicely. And the first goal of the game continues to elude the Beacons. Just about 10 minutes gone. Still no score from Monon. Free kick for the Beacons here right around midfield, and they waste no time. For Emily Wallace, another save. She has played well in goal, allowing just 6 goals through the first 4 games. She has helped put her team in position to be competitive. The offense has been there at times and not there at others. There's a cross up high, and Spilios grabs it about 2 feet wide of the net. Flings it upfield. Andrea Rivera calling for it back from Kaylee Haynes and gets it. So the pass is a little bit further behind than she would have liked, and it's a turnover. Interception, Kalia Eaton. And a giveaway. Oh, Eaton getting very aggressive there on the fight for the ball. Starting to throw the forearm a little bit. Andrea Rivera picked off nicely. Pass into open space, and Keeley can't quite chase it down. Beacons aggressive in more ways than one. Ball comes bouncing over to the near side, giving chase is Sarah Kelly in front of Kaka, and she will let it go out for the side out. UMass Boston trying to push. Two shots for the Beacons, both of them on goal. One shot for the Warriors on goal. Beautiful feed up ahead. Can Haynes get to it? She can, but with not quite enough room to operate. And the ball will belong to the goalie, Emily Wallace. An ambitious through ball. And it just about got the job done. And no, excuse me, it's a corner.
Beacon's corner, taken by number 11, Kelly McNeil.
It's a corner, the first of the game for either team. Comes in the 13th minute and belongs to Kelly McNeil, the senior back out in Marshfield, Mass. Cross comes in, and it's a little bit high. Andrea Rivera leaping for it, but the Beacons will retain on the far side of the field. Pass broken up. Harnois. And the Beacons will keep. So UMass Boston threatening early and often. And looking energetic here. Both these teams had a midweek game this week, excuse me. For East Con, it was a scoreless draw against Trinity. For UMass Boston, it was a 3-goal loss at Babson. Both of these teams, in fact, have had a 3-goal loss to Babson, ranked 11th in the country right now, so certainly not a whole lot of shame in that. Trinity ranked just outside the top 25. Another side out for UMass Boston. It's always a little tough to gauge in the non-conference, particularly an abbreviated non-conference, when you're heading into the conference slate and trying to figure out how do these teams match up with each other. So you look at the preseason poll and then remind yourself that there's no preseason poll in the history of polls that has ever been correct. Lob up top, off the top bar. Haynes with a rebound header, and Wallace says no. UMass Boston getting ambitious and staying ambitious. Emily Wallace has had to make one brilliant save to this point and a couple of more run-of-the-mill ones. The defense in front of her has been letting the occasional ball through, and UMass Boston has been threatening when they do. Pass into the middle. Harnois broken up. Kelly McNeil. Keeley's going to leave it off for Sarah Gavin on the side out. Third of the way through the first half of play. Still no score from the Harbor. And Eastern Connecticut State struggling to generate chances. They have had one shot in the opening 15 minutes and change. UMass Boston has countered with 5 of them. All but one of them on goal. And a set piece to boot. And yet still we remain scoreless. Pass intended for Haynes is instead ejected over to the far side by Daria DiBiasio. And out of bounds. Going to have our first substitution of the game. Off the pitch goes Caitlin Herbert. Joining the pitch is trying to get a read here. Looks like Alexi Root, the junior forward out of Old Saybrook.
Warriors substitution now into the game. Number 10, Alexi Root.
It'll be Spilios' ball in net. Played the last couple of games for the Beacons. It's going to be a little bit inflated by having played a team as good as Babson, but nevertheless, 3 goals allowed in those 2 games. 9 saves against those 3 goals. It was a big blow, Amy Zombeck said, not to have her to start out with. They got some pretty solid play in net from Julia Cody. 3 goals allowed across 2 games. 8 saves, almost identical to Spilios at this point. And from Isabella O'Connell, who played just 1 game, it was the Middlebury game, took the loss officially after allowing the 1 goal and UMass Boston being shut out, as we mentioned before, but saving 11 shots. So the team has some goalie depth. That'll be the encouraging part. Pass forward into no man's land. Emily Wallace harmlessly scoops it up. 27.5 remaining in the first half. Remember, 2 45-minute halves, running clock, absent special circumstances. And Wallace is going to float it up to the midfield circle. Eaton gets body but keeps course. Thread past Kaylee Haynes. Who's going to get to it first? It's Eastcon. DiBiasio erasing the chance and forcing UMass Boston to play from a side out with a set defense. Haynes goes long. It's broken up. Haley Kaka ejects. And Danny Anderson will run it down. 19 minutes gone, no score. If you're just joining us, welcome in. Milton Posner bringing you this one live from Monin Soccer Field. UMass Boston and Eastcon opening their LEC slates here today. They're going to move on to each play a non-conference game on the road this upcoming week. For UMass Boston, that's going to be Wheaton. For Eastcon, it'll be Westfield State before each of them resume their conference schedules against Plymouth State and Southern Maine, respectively, a week from today. As always, you can follow the Beacons home games right here on the LEC network. You can find them through the Beacons Athletics website. There may have been a handball that was, and no, it was not missed. Free kick for the Beacons. And perhaps another chance for them. Once again, Kelly McNeil. Straight at the goal, and Emily Wallace grabs it at about shoulder height. Wallace once again going long, and the Beacons once again recovering. Slide out past Kelly McNeil. Kaka giving chase. Haynes with a give back, but into empty space. A little bit of a miscommunication there, and Elia Velez with a sneak away take back. Carolyn Golt. Eaton looking for some friendly faces. Who's she got? Passes behind Haynes, but it gets to her anyway on the carom. Eastcon breaks it up. Kaka once again trying to eject only as far as McNeil. She's going to slide into the middle and right to the defensive line. Carmen Nieves of the Warriors. And the Beacons will reset in their own defensive half. Little under 24 minutes remaining. UMass Boston playing the possession game as first-year head coach Sarah Tompkins of the Warriors knew they would. Expecting they'd play the possession game and circulate the ball. She was looking forward to it. She's probably not the most content with how her team has responded here. It's been tough to generate chances, and that's something they have been working on in the young season. As we mentioned, their win was a 5-2 margin over Fitchburg. But other than that, they have been struggling to generate chances and then capitalize on those chances. It was a holdover struggle from last year, their last under former head coach Chris D'Ambrosio. They're having a little more success with it this year, but still it's the number one target area for improvement. Kaylee Haynes in the midfield. Chop up ahead, Velez. But the pass was broken up, and the Beacons will have to try again. For Tompkins, her first head coaching job was an assistant at the Division I level. Came over from Quinnipiac, where she was the last 4 years, Illinois State before that. The fight for the ball includes some hip checking, and the Beacons will take it. For Tompkins, the fifth head coach in school history over 36 years. Ambrosio had the job for 22 years. 18 of those years in a winning streak, an 18-year winning streak that helped build his career record up to 240 wins against just 137 losses. 9 Little East regular season titles, 4 tournament titles as well.
Now to the game for the Beacons, number 19, Olivia D'Souza.
There's certainly a tradition of success for EastCon that Sarah Tompkins is going to want to continue in her first head coaching stint. But so far it's been a little bit rough going. Beacons into the box. Tough defense meets them there. Got a substitution for UMass Boston into the game for the first time this season is Olivia D'Souza. Sophomore midfielder. A big expected return. And coming in right on schedule, said mid to late December, Amy Zombach said before the season. And here we are mid-September. Here is D'Souza. Coming in for her sophomore season for the Beacons. Played just 69 minutes on the entire season last year, but is expected to be a key contributor in the midfield. And now EastCon trying to make moves for the first time in a good little while. We're a little past the halfway point of the first half of play. By and large here, the Warriors are working at a little bit of a size disadvantage here, particularly on their forward line. UMass Boston gets a shot with some more corners. Probably expect some of the longer variety. And for the moment, the Beacons trying to press again. Kaylee Haynes pokes it away. Can she beat it to the end line? Not quite. Beacons opting for some more substitutions. Entering on their side, Kaylee Sullivan and Bella Luca in the place of Sarah Kelly and Kaylee Haynes. For Haynes, a deserved rest. She expends a lot of end-to-end energy.
Now into the game for your Beacons, number 13,
Even more so than a lot of her fellow forwards.
and number 24, Kaylee Sullivan.
Wallace once again going long, this time a little bit shorter though. And there'll be a scrum forward in the midfield. Olivia D'Souza taps it out. And it's UMass Boston to collect. Stella Pampucha also came on recently for UMass Boston. So Amy Zombach still going with a slightly deeper bench here. Pampucha, Luca, D'Souza, and Sullivan. 4 subs into the game on the Beacon side. Only the one Alexi Root on the EastCon side. Velez fires forward and gets it right back. Good body control. Keeps it in play on the UMass Boston side. There's a lot of things Velez is going to do to compensate for being 5'1". Body control, ball control. Pass comes in on the thread through. Oh, and a missed opportunity in front of the net. Kalia Eaton. And the best chance UMass Boston's had in the opening 30 minutes disappears as quickly as it appeared. It was a gorgeous feed, but not quite handled on the receiving end with a clear shot to the left side of the goal. It's going to be tough for the Beacons when you miss chances like that. team that's gone 3 games without a goal. Oh, and Eastcon with a chance to move here. Pass comes up. Can Harnois beat everyone to it? No. Spilios is there. Eastcon getting aggressive now. Harnois wide to Haley Kaka. Back to Harnois in the middle. Moss is over, fires a long one, and a little wide and high. Briley Harnois, nothing if not ambitious on that one. But she certainly got the striker's chops. Jess Carter and Lindsay Buscarin into the game in place of Elia Velez and Elena Keeley. And so the bench continues to expand for Amy Zombeck. More subs out on the field now than not. Of the remaining starters, it's Eaton, McNeil, Anderson,
number 28, Jess Carter, and number 36,
and a couple of others here. Buscarin and Anderson now up on that top line, both of the super seniors in the offensive positions. Anderson having moved up from where she started at back. Now UMass Boston on the side out about level with the top of the box. Over, it's still hopping loose. It makes it all the way through to Wallace, who's got to cover up the miscue. And the Eastern defense has been a little bit too permissive at times. They just managed to cover things up, and Emily Wallace has had to make a couple of pretty good saves on that end. How long before either the defense tightens up or the Beacons make them pay? McNeil. In the midfield, Carter. Palmer to the side. And Alexi Root chases it down for Eastern. Solid dribbling in tight corners. But ultimately it'll be lost to the Beacons. 2 defenders plus the sideline is a third. McNeil, who's got a chance here. She's going to fire it herself. Oh, and it just barely stays out after it slips through the fingers of Emily Wallace. Has been pretty sure-handed so far today, but came just inches away from a goal that she would have, let's say, not placed on her personal highlight reel. 14 minutes and change remaining in the first half. Luca to Eaton. And DiBiasio with a beautiful move to take it away. Morgan Kelly. UMass Boston's going to let that one trickle over the sideline. Luca trying to make moves in front of Kaka, but a little bit of a miscommunication on the side out there is going to let the Warriors keep it. Into the middle. Slide pass over to Root. Pampucha can't quite get it dug out. Jess Carter and Eastcon all of a sudden very aggressive on their press. That one's going to skip over. Side out or goal kick. It's a goal kick. So UMass Boston, after a couple of hot shots fired at goal that didn't really have a chance, almost sees themselves gifted a goal on one of them. As it just slipped through the clutches of Wallace, but not quite enough momentum to carry it over the goal line. UMass Boston having to play serious defensive time, really for the first time all game. Only a couple times has Eastern made forays into this part of the field, and seldom have they stuck. But this one's going to stick for the time being. Haley Kaka to take the first corner for Eastern.
Eastern corner taken by number 17, Briley Harnois.
Briley Harnois steps to it. You can see by and large the height disadvantage in the box. Do they go to the short corner? Yes, they do, and it's right into the legs of Kaylee Sullivan. Harnois with some fancy dribbling, but cannot quite penetrate the defense and get a shot off. Headed away there. Kicked away there. Oh, and this is going to be great news for the Warriors. The whistle blows right in front of the net. It looks to be a free kick from just outside the box. And the Beacon's going to have to build a wall for the first time today. Harnois and Kaka strategizing about who's going to take it. Spilios setting up on, from the attacker's perspective, the left side of the goal. And after all the Beacon chances, could it be the Warriors who break through first? Harnois goes on goal, and it's just a bit high. Striker's going to strike. And Briley Harnois, with 4 goals on the season, just misses a 5th. Again, aggressive from EastCon, but that one's sliding up just out of the reach of Buscarin. D'Souza pounces on Kaka and a little bit too aggressive here. So the whistle's finally starting to blow. UMass Boston has been a little bit more aggressive than Eastern Connecticut State in the early going. But finally they're getting a little bit too ambitious, and the officials' whistle has become a little more frequent to compensate. Danny Rovellino in front of Dandy Anderson and Lindsay Buscarin. Which way is she going? She's going into the box. On the run-outs, off the top crossbar there, as it took a high hop on Spilios. There was a window to be had there on what would have been a miraculous hop goal. But just barely running out of vertical room there. Nutmeg there on D'Souza there from Morgan Kelly. And EastCon keeps. Beacon's having to bring out the defensive chops as the first half starts to wane, about 9 minutes remaining. And both teams looking to go into the intermission with the upper hand. Shot categories starting to even up a little. Beacons have 7 shots, 6 of them on goal. EastCon, after those last couple of minutes, now up to 4, 2 of them on goal. A corner apiece per team. But ultimately nothing doing. Still scoreless. Pass rifled up ahead. Kalia Eaton been very physical all game. She's going to win possession for the Beacons. Buscarin tried the back tap to Anderson. Anderson's got it. Went for a left-footed shot. The pass ultimately skipping wide of the goal, retrieved by Emily Wallace to put a stop to it. Wallace has gone long just about every time she's had a goal kick. Secondary kick's going to put it up toward Kaylee Sullivan. Back and forth they go. Out of bounds on the far sideline around midfield. These two teams, a combined 8 goals through 9 games of play. Their opponents have a combined 13. It's not the most horrendous goal differential you've ever seen, but nevertheless, neither team, I think, happy with their record right now. 1-1-2 for the Warriors, 0-3-2 for the Beacons. And for the Beacons, multiple one-goal losses. Looking to break that trend. Kelly McNeil up the field. Through the defender, Haley Kaka. Slide pass. Doesn't quite make it to Buscarin. Carter, it's loose. And Wallace wisely covers it up. Slides it up. Fires it forward. It's Lexi Root giving chase and ultimately can't quite make it to the ball. A little bit too far ahead. Pompucha on the throw-in. 6:16 in the play. Five and a half minutes for these squads to break through. Whistle blows over on the sideline, and the game stuck in a shoebox is going to resume with a free kick. Briley Harnois, as the players collapse toward the goal. Calling out a play. Harnois once again to take it. She took that last free kick from right in front of the 18. Went high and missed by inches. Into the box, headed away. Kaylee Sullivan, Buscarin to field it. Taps it aside. And the Beacons get it out. Rivera upfield. Anderson furiously giving chase, but it's batted away by Emily Barata. We're going to have the clock stopped here. Not entirely sure what this is about. The referee stopped play. Appears to be talking to Danny Anderson on the Beacons side. Play's going to resume here. 4.5 minutes to go. Some point the referee wanted clarified, not entirely sure what, but the Beacons will keep it in their offensive half. Who comes out strongest after the stop? The Beacons having trouble connecting the passes the way they did in the first 10-15 minutes. The Eastern defense has found its bearings. And Emily Wallace, who has saved all 7 of the Beacons' shots on goal, has not had to do quite as much in the last 10 minutes. Throw in over the head of Carter. Eastern trying to jettison the ball. Haley Kaka into open space, chased down easily. Kaylee Sullivan with room. Sullivan with a thread pass, nobody there to receive it. And Wallace scoops up another. Ball slid up the far sideline. Oh, beautiful takeaway there. Rivera into the midfield for Carter and the tap back. Kaylee Sullivan, UMass Boston, playing mostly with substitutions now rather than starters. And they have not been generating as many chances as they were in the opening 20. Buscarin with a nice tap into open space. Buscarin with a slide pass, but it's way ahead of Danny Anderson. And another easy collection off the roll for Emily Wallace. Wallace has not gone short on a goal kick all game. And UMass Boston over aggressive on the midfield reception there. Eastern will take it on a free kick. Inside of 2 minutes. Free kick's gonna go, ooh, Alexi Roots with a furious chase for it, but comes up just short. And UMass Boston here, perhaps with a chance to mount a final charge before halftime falls. Kaylee Sullivan. Coming up the left side, briefly poked away. Rivera chasing it down. A minute 15 to work with.
One minute remaining in the first half. 1 minute remaining in the first half.
McNeil keeping it in bounds. Oh, beautiful move there. Bella Luca. Ball spinning back into the middle of the pitch, and Wallace, almost at the edge of the box, has been very aggressive here. Perhaps remembering those holes that were opening up in the first 10 minutes of play and wanting to pounce on them quickly. She's coming way, way out of the box there. Or out of the goal, excuse me. Shanked the kick a little bit, sent it left. 20 seconds for the Beacons. Carter fighting with Kaka.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And the first
2,
half
1,
will end
0.
with a 0-0 tie. And for a couple teams struggling to score goals coming into today, some questions to be answered in the halftime huddles. For the meantime, we are going to send you to some highlights. First, it's going to be from volleyball last night from UMass Boston, and then some additional highlights, and we will come right back with the first half stats and other updates from around the Little East Conference. Stick around.
0. Your UMass Boston Beacons 0. Saves in the first half, the Warriors with 7, Beacons with 2. Shots in the first half, Beacons with 9, Warriors with 4. 1 corner kick.
The champion of the world, Team Aoki, laid back Luke, undefeated, reigning, defending champion of the world. It's time!
45 minutes in the books, but no goals to go along with those minutes. We are still scoreless from the harbor between the Warriors of Eastern Connecticut State University and the Beacons of UMass Boston. Welcome back. I'm Milton Posner. Thank you so very much for joining. You can take a look at the first half stats. As you can see, none in the goals category, but UMass Boston emerged more aggressive on offense, and it shows. More shots on goal. And the goalkeeper, Emily Wallace, has had to be a lot more active than her counterpart in blue, Maria Spilios. The fouls a little bit more tilted to the UMass Boston side, and they started to get whistled a little bit more intensely as the half went on. Going now to the sneak peek at the Beaks. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the world of UMass Boston sports this weekend. As you can see, it's a 1 p.m. Saturday game that we've got on our hands here. To go along with that, cross country is going to be hanging out at the UMass Dartmouth Invitational today. Men's soccer going to be paying EastCon a visit up in Connecticut, and women's tennis will be hosting Plymouth State. The latter of them the latter two conference matchups. We're also going to take a look at what else is happening in the LEC women's soccer today. So we can say it's the opener for UMass Boston and EastCon. We've had one conference game played already going into today. It was UMass Dartmouth triumphing over Plymouth State. Today, it's going to be Keene State visiting Elms. That is a non-conference game. WestCon at Rhode Island College. That is. And Castleton visiting Southern Maine. That one starting at 2 p.m. Upcoming schedule for this women's soccer squad for UMass Boston. Going to have a midweek game. That'll be a Wednesday tilt at Wheaton College with a 4 p.m. start time. And then conference play resuming. Paying a visit to Plymouth State at 1 p.m. a week from today. Worcester Polytechnic, the midweek game after that, and then the University of Southern Maine after that. Also a road game. The next home broadcast for UMass Boston women's soccer is going to be on the 8th of October when they host Rhode Island College for a 1 p.m. show. Off we go. 45 more minutes to settle the score here. Both teams just about going back to all starters. UMass Boston emerged on the front foot in the first half. Can they do so in the second? They are taking it to the Warriors right away. As Elena Keeley chases it down in the corner, tries to make a move around. Can't quite make it. And it will be a side out, I believe, for the Beacons. No, I'm sorry. They're going to... Yes, no, it is a side out for the Beacons. Just shy of the corner. Pass comes in, intended for Velez. And bounces back out to Sarah Kelly, who will let it roll across the sideline. Velez dribbling through a thicket of legs. Cross into the box. Can Haynes get to it? It's ejected just a few feet. And the first minute and change of this second half has been more or less what the first minute and change of the first half was. EastCon struggling to eject the ball in the way they wanted to. Wallace gives it a diving try. Can't quite get it over the goal line. It's going to be a corner for the Beacons, and Kelly McNeil once again will go to take it. Just the second corner of the game for the Beacons. The first one resulted in a cross sailing a bit too high. And remember, these Beacons have a height advantage over the Warriors. So these corners, a prime chance for them to get on the board. McNeil into the box. And it's broken up there, only made it as far as Velez, and she had a couple of defenders draped over her back. Back tap Rivera, and with a little hop and a snag, Wallace takes care of business. Eastern up the near sideline. Danny Anderson cuts off the route. Carolyn Golt. Eaton cutting across the middle. Up to Keeley. Could this be interesting? Not quite. Madison Palmer forces the side out. UMass Boston, another throw in from the far side. They go in this time. Velez. And it'll be another side out. Keeley fields up, might have hit her in the chin. Ball gets bounced out, and another throw in for the Beacons. So UMass Boston turning it into a half-pitch game. Fourth consecutive throw-in for the Beacons. Tries for the cross, can't quite get it. And that ball will belong to the Warriors at last. Wallace fires. Giving chase. Alexi Root trying to chase it down. Danny Anderson beats her to it. And feeds Spilios for the eject. It's not getting far, though. Root's in the box. He's got a teammate with her. It's Carly Alston. They're still threatening. And with a wicket hop and a couple of caroms, the Beacons get it out. Can they flip the field? A little bit wild in the early going here. Second half of play. Sprinting around for it, Danny Rovalino up the sideline, but she's got nobody there, and so purely for position, it seems. Ball skips through Eastern's ball. Emily Barata to take it. Keely Haynes with a little bit of a wild foot here, but she does cover quite a bit of ground. Ball still loose in the midfield. Picking it up is Carly Alston. Slides it across to Haley Coca. Beacons take it away. Sarah Kelly up the far side. Slings a pass ahead. Chasing it is Eaton. Can't quite get there, but they'll force the side out. And the Beacons flipping the field in a major hurry. Six minutes gone in the second half. No score still. Which of these teams can break the scoreless streak first? The Beacons lasted a little bit longer. UMass Boston moving up with Danny Anderson. Eastern dispossesses. Slide pass. Trying to plan the angle is Alston. Pass right into Andrea Rivera. Coming up through the midfield. Keeley looking for a side. Looking to the side for Velez, but had her path and her angle cut off. Eastern going up, a beautiful pass up ahead there to DiBiasio. UMass Boston might have to play a little defense here for the first time really in the second half. Up ahead. And Wallace disposes of it as Kaylee Haynes was making a run. It's going to be a foul here in the midfield. Beacons are going to have a free kick at it. Throw in for UMass Boston here. Taking a spill there is Eaton. And another throw in for the Beacons. Comes into the box. It's still loose, and Wallace can't get to it in time. It's another corner for the Beacons. To be taken about 9 minutes into the second half. Third corner of the game for the Beacons, their second of the half.
Beacons corner taken by number 10.
This time it's going to be Elia Velez. They're going short. McNeil fires it in. Broken up by Eastcon. It's Morgan Kelly. Beacons throwing. Velez, some beautiful job handling it in space. She always does. So the skills you need to learn when you don't necessarily have the height to get your head up to where you want to field the ball over your defender, but you still want to play offense. And as a multi-person spill over there by the goal line, it's going to be another corner for UMass Boston. Once again, Velez and McNeil over to the corner, third of the half.
Beacons corner kick taken by number 11, Kelly McNeil.
Kelly McNeil takes it herself this time. Fires. Oh, just wide. Haynes was coming through the middle, but it traipsed over the goal line off of a Warrior, and so it's going to be another try for the Beacons. Fifth corner of the game. McNeil with a lob over everybody, and we're going the other way. Foul on UMass Boston. It's getting a little over-ambitious with a ball that really nobody was going to get to from there. And once again, the Beacons come up empty. Their last goal came in the 22nd minute of their September 2nd game against the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. We lost that game 2-1. And then were shut out in 3 consecutive games. A neutral site tilt against Middlebury, a home contest against Caltech, and the game against Babson that, as we mentioned, they, like EastCon, lost 3-0 to Babson. Add in the first half of this one, and you're talking about more than 4 full games worth of time that the Beacons have been kept off the scoreboard, and you better believe they are hungry for it now. But they're going to have to defend for a moment. Kelly McNeil. Eaton giving chase, seals nicely. He's got Haynes up ahead, but Eastcon in the midfield. Haley Coca with a key takeaway from the blind side. Carolyn Golt. Kane's trying to hold off her defender. A nice piece of footwork there to Velez in the midfield. Trying to turn on the Jets. Coming up from behind to take it away is Caitlin Herbert. Fight for it on the far side. Elia Velez loses out to a couple of Warriors. Rovalino slides it to Coca. Oh, takeaway there. Keeley timed it beautifully. Beacons don't have numbers, but a chance to run up to Kaylee Haynes. Gets through. You say this about Kaylee Haynes. She's giving her all every minute she's out there. You can just tell it by the sprint speed, if nothing else. Treats every through ball, every thread, every lob, every toss into open space as an opportunity not to be missed. Still looking for her first goal on the season after a breakout season last year, mostly coming off the bench. But her 8 goals tied for second on the team. Shot percentage up above 25, tops on the squad. 17 points were third. And against EastCon last year, she had 2 goals in a runaway win for the Beacons. She is their top returning scorer and has a chance here to find herself back in the goal scorers column. And that would be her opposite, Briley Harnois. Similar sort of style, if not similar build. Run fast, run far, chase the ball, outrun everybody, and take your shots. This time Harnois is going to the center of the box. Danny Anderson with a header. Throw in for the Warriors. 15 minutes gone by in the second half of play. Remember, 2 45-minute halves with a running clock. Stoppages for injuries and the like. And no overtime. Sarah Gavin heads it up. Kaylee Haynes giving chase. Chases it down in front of Carly Alston. Goal in the midfield. Missed the dribble touch, and it's going to make it a little hard for the Beacons to break out now. McNeil. Now they'll opt to go up the far sideline. And a bevy of subs here for Amy Zombeck. Kaylee Sullivan. Gina Albano, it looks like. And McKenna Hallinan. Zombeck still not so much. You see this in the first couple of games in the non-conference. You assume it's lineup tinkering. At this point in the season, it's more about you want to have a deep rotation. There aren't quite enough newcomers on the roster to be tinkering with it otherwise. It seems like it's part of the game plan here. So Albano will see her first action, as will Hallinan. That one headed through, but not quite enough muster to make it through. On the corner kick. And Wallace scoops it up. UMass Boston once again on the press. And another whistle for over-aggressive play. And the official's telling Olivia D'Souza, calm down just a little bit. Both these teams have had just 1 yellow card on the season so far, through a combined 9 games. McNeil, Albano giving chase now. And another foul here. This time Briley Harnois hits the deck, and Eastcon's going to get another one of these chances. Free kick taken by Harnois. This one with maybe 8 meters of clearance out in front of the box. Here she goes. Toward the top corner, Spilios! How's that for a save? And for the first time all day, Maria Spilios has her number called in a major way and responds beautifully. It's going to be a corner.
Eastern corner kick.
Just the second of the game for the Warriors. As with every other free kick and the previous corner, it's Harnois to take it. Line drive kick. Ball's loose. Spilios has it. Maria Spilios responding to the challenge. And the game stays tied. High one still skipping. Who's coming down with it? It's going to be UMass Boston, it looks like, with Albano on the sideline. No, she backs off. DiBiasio to take it. Kaylee Haynes going to take it on the side slide. McNeil through traffic, and the smaller Eastcon players beat her to the ball. Barata up the far sideline. Slide through, ejected by Anderson. UMass Boston will take it. Albano, easily the tallest player on the field. And a substitution. Kaylee Haynes to the bench. Kalia Eaton to the pitch.
Checking into the game for your Beacons. Number 2, Kalia Eaton.
UMass Boston in. Hallinan. Eastcon coming up now. Harnois with a beautiful touch. Turning Gavin around. Right around her. And running out of room on the sideline as the dribble got a little bit loose. Briley Harnois. It's a conspicuous sort of thing when the shortest player on the field is just noticeably faster than everyone around her. But the end-to-end speed from Harnois is something that cannot be ignored. It's helped to power a lot of the attack for Eastcon. She is the tip of the spear. She has been through the opening 4 games with 4 goals to her credit. This after only 2 goals all of last season. But she has emerged as the stud striker in the non-conference. Alongside the freshman forward Caitlin Herbert, who has a couple of goals herself, both of them coming in that Fitchburg game where Harnois nabbed the hat trick. But Herbert has played just 34 minutes, has not taken a shot on goal. We have not called her name too much. Hallinan giving chase, but too many Warriors in one area. Rivera. Harnois will take it. Thread pass ahead. DiBiasio, can she get to it first? Yes, she can. Albano to cover. Fancy footwork. And they'll retreat a little bit for better position. Kelly with a lob. D'Souza breaks it up. Hallinan. Carmen Nieves threads through. And Harnois once again aggressive on the attack. Alexi Root! And a diving snag by Spilios. Filio's calling out some instructions to her team. Has had to make 2 saves in the last 5 minutes or so of a caliber that was simply not demanded of her in the first half, with the amount of time the Beacons were spending on the opposite half of the field. McKenna Hallinan leaves it for D'Souza. Carly Alston giving chase, coming up to meet her. D'Souza back into the middle. Past a couple of defenders. A beautiful tackle there to break up the play. That was Herbert. Beacons try for a slide cross on the ground, but not much of an angle. And Emily Wallace scoops it up. Inside of 22 minutes, so a little more than halfway gone in the second half of play. Still no score. It's been over 400 minutes of game time since the Beacons found the back of the net. EastCon hasn't had too much luck either. It's more than 175 minutes of game time for them. Excuse me, more than 225 minutes of game time for them. I can do math, or I can keep pretending to. Free kick for EastCon right around midfield. Long on the free kick. Can Harnois find room? Not quite. It's over the end line. Another couple of substitutions. Kaylee Haynes and Elia Velez back on for the Beacons. Replacing McKenna Hallinan and Olivia D'Souza. Gavin tried to save it on the sideline, not enough room. And Eastern now going to try to have a sustained presence in the offensive half. Something they have had only sporadically in this one. Root slides to Eastern. Sarah Gavin's wondering why it's not Beacon's ball, and she's absolutely correct. And the official overruling the line judge. The line judge, and for the context of those viewing at home, we are standing right about where the camera is, right here on this near sideline. And with the benefit of that vantage point, we could have seen that the line judge was absolutely correct. That was a Beacon's throw-in. But the head ref exercises the power to overrule. Thread pass, but there's nobody quite there to thread it to. And Wallace spins the jettison kick away over toward the sideline. UMass Boston back on the attack. Offsides call levied against the Beacons will send the ball in the other direction.
Beacons offside.
18.5 minutes remaining in the second half. Both of these teams in sore need of a win, and for that matter, in sore need of a goal. Ball skips through. Here comes EastCon. Beautiful pass up ahead off the foot of Alston. Can EastCon make anything out of it? Not quite. Velez takes for the Beacons. Long shot once again for Harnois. She has fired 4 shots, only one of them on goal. This is what comes with
That's
being
the game for your
ambitious, but
Beacons. Number 36, Lindsay Busquera.
given that she's got a hat trick already this season, it's hard to fault the philosophy. UMass Boston's fired 10 shots, 8 of them on goal. EastCon has 8 of them, 5 on goal. UMass Boston clearly leading the way with corners 6-2. They have had more chances, but this is a big one here for EastCon, and it's the first goal of the game. Alexi Root puts the Warriors in front. And a defensive breakdown for the Beacons. Spells doom at the first opportunity. They have not had to play in that half of the field too much here in the second half. And certainly not for any sustained amount of time. But the Warriors come right back down their throats and score their first goal in a couple of games. UMass Boston now not looking for the go-ahead. They're looking for the equalizer. Will the Beacons play with a little bit more urgency now? Root sends it whistling by the scorer's table and out of bounds. For Alexi Root, that's her 5th collegiate goal. Had a pair of them each of the last 2 years. Got it on the thread through, and Spilios had to take a guess.
Warrior goal, her first of the season in the 73rd minute. Scored by number 10, Lexi Root. Assisted by number 21, Ashlyn Rogers, and number 19, Madison Palmer in the 73rd minute. Root,
The assists go to Ashlyn Rogers and Madison Palmer, their first assists of the season. For Palmer, her first collegiate point on the goal from Alexi Root, the 5th of her career as she stands here in the first half of her junior season. Velez through the middle, poked away. Rovolino earns possession for the Warriors, and they're going to promptly give it back. Oh, no. A good save there from Root, followed by a good save from Velez. The ball is going to stay in play until about now. Inside of 15 minutes here, UMass Boston looking for the tie. Looking for the game tying goal. EastCon looking for some insurance. Buscarin fighting off a couple of defenders to Velez in the middle. She'll cut back toward the left. And Kalia Eaton into the box. Wallace grabs it. And for UMass Boston, this is shaping up to be another sort of game where they don't actually give up too much and still nevertheless wind up on the short end of the stick. They've had a couple of draws, and that 3-goal loss that we mentioned to Babson, and Babson ranked just outside the top 10, is certainly nothing to sneeze at there in terms of opponent quality. But UMass Boston's also had a couple of 1-goal losses, first to the Coast Guard and then to Middlebury. I'll be desperate to avoid a third here as we're in conference play. They've certainly had a couple of chances. Crosses in the first half, particularly one that Kalia Eaton had right on the doorstep and just couldn't quite connect on. Velez. Eaton finds Golt. Beacons have some attackers up the left side. They go toward the middle, and it's picked off. It's picked off by Herbert. Up to Alexi Root with room on the side. And an offsides call. And a big chance for the Warriors fizzles as the official's whistle blows.
Eastern offside.
Eastern's going to keep it in. Giving chase for it over to the near side is Carly Alston. Got Eaton behind her. And the centering pass broken up by Kaylee Sullivan. Going to force a corner. Third corner kick of the game, second of the second half for EastCon. Is it going to be Harnois to take it? As it has been each of the prior times. Well, she's got a buddy with her. It's Danny Rovellino. And Rovellino peels off. Harnois with a laser. And ejected out of the field of play there by Kaylee Sullivan. And one of the runners looks like she's trying to figure out whether that's her ball to fetch. It's another corner kick for Harnois on the repeat. A little higher this time, a little farther this time. Makes it all the way over to Madison Palmer, who misfires wide.
Out of the game for your Beacons. Number 27, Eliana Keeley, and checking into the game for the Warriors, number 5, Carly Dreyfus.
Elena Keeley into the game for the Beacons. Reinforcements for the stretch run, about 10 minutes to play. A little more than 10 minutes, excuse me. Whistle blows on the sideline here. It's going to be Beacon's ball. EastCon trying to make moves on the sideline, looking for some insurance. Harnois right through the middle, but runs into a few too many defenders there. Keeley on the reception. Moving around one defender. Elena Keeley off the post. Oh, goodness. The Beacons can't buy a goal. And yet again, an opportunity just squandered by a team about as in need of a goal as you can be. Down 1 goal in a conference game, and with a scoreless streak, they are itching to break. Velez could have another chance here, but Rovellino beats her to the ball. Beacon staying aggressive. And the chances have come, but they have not quite been able to make good. Jess Carter is going to come on in lieu of Elia Velez. For EastCon, Daria DiBiasio will rejoin the action. UMass Boston on a throw-in here. It's Rivera. Eaton cutting into the middle. It skips through. And it's another side out. Inside of 9 minutes to play. Time starting to run out for the Beacons. McNeil with a lob. Headed away. Carmen Nieves getting to it first. McNeil goes back that way, but there's nobody to receive it. Keeley's well late. If the Beacons wind up on the short end of the scoreboard here at the end, or even if it winds up a draw, there's a couple plays you look to. That Keeley shot off the post. The Eaton play on the sort of the half volley that went wide of the net. Plays you look back on and wish you could have back. And we got some more substitutions here, this time on the EastCon side. Sarah Honnold with a interesting distinction of having been both listed as a forward and goaltender is going to enter as a forward right now, number 29 in the dark blue. This is her third appearance in EastCon's 5 games. And Rivera going quickly downfield. She's got Keeley. The ball's headed over. And that aggressiveness is going to earn UMass Boston a throw-in. They go down to Keeley, trapped on the sideline. Can she work with it? Pass squibbed off, and it's ejected over the goal line there by Morgan Kelly. And so the Beacons, with under 7 minutes to go, are going to have their 7th corner kick of the game. Once again, Kelly McNeil to take it. And for the Beacons, there may not be a better opportunity than this. Here it comes. Oh, and it just stays out. Kaylee Haynes furious with herself as the header attempt goes just wide, but it's going to be another corner for the Beacons. This one is Kaylee Sullivan's to take. Another chance for the Beacons. Oh, and Jess Carter running the left side of the goal. It was a very tricky hop to handle and a very narrow lane open, but the chance was there. 6 minutes to go. Will the Beacons get a better chance than the ones they just had? Wallace goes to the near side. Beacons battle to keep it in. Keeley with a handle off of Honnold. The Warriors trying to move the other way. Harnois through traffic. And a foul on Harnois, charging a little too hard. Couple of subs for Eastern. That ball is going to pop over. Substitution's not coming in quite yet. The clock would stop inside of 5 minutes on a substitution. Kayla Haynes with a big run up here, hucks the throw in. And that's a corner. The 9th of the day for the Beacons. And once again, Kaylee Sullivan to take it. The Beacons have not scored in a little over 2 weeks. McNeil, ball still loose. And Wallace dives and gobbles it up. You cannot say the Beacons haven't had their chances. But so far, nothing quite doing for them. Honnold up to Alexi Root. He's got Sullivan on her. Towards the middle. Into the box. Fires. Blocked by McNeil. Blocked by McNeil again. And the Beacons try to jettison the ball over toward midfield. Who's going to get to the carom first? Carolyn Golt will take it. Skips through Anderson. Keeley battling for it with a couple of Warriors. 3.5 minutes to go. Coming now up the near side is Rovolino of EastCon. Taps it to Root. McNeil read it well, and it's a side out for the Warriors. Going to stop the clock here with some subs coming in for Eastern Connecticut State for the last couple minutes. Haley Coca. And let's take a look. Looks like Carly Alston for the stretch run.
Checking into the game for the Warriors, number 9, Carly Alston, and number 25, Haley Coca.
Another throw in for EastCon. At this point, they'd probably be content to just keep the ball in this half of the field. Alexi Root on the near side. Beacons are going to need to find gold and find it quickly, or their winless streak is going to extend into conference play. 2.5 minutes remaining. Ball stuck on the near side. EastCon going to be just about content with that. But here's a chance for the Beacons. Eaton with a long pass up ahead to Haynes, doesn't connect. DiBiasio. Wild fight in the middle of the field. Back and forth they go. Harnois only as far as Eaton. Loose ball. Gold stops it. And the Beacons have it. 2 minutes for them to work with. Keeley to the far side, covered by Harnois. Into the middle she goes, down she goes, and a whistle. Substitutions, and the clock will stop here at about 1:50. A yellow card. Briley Harnois with a little bit too aggressive here. Draws the first card of the game.
Yellow card issued to number 17, Briley Harnois, in the 88th minute. Harnois, yellow card in the 88th
A
minute.
direct free kick now for the Beacons.
Zoom out so you can get the goal.
Kaylee Sullivan to take the kick. Here come the Beacons. Headed away. Beautiful defensive play from Carmen Nieves. Out in front of the EastCon bench. Clock going to stop once more. Another substitution. Carly Dreyfus.
Checking
gonna
back
see
into
her
the
first
board,
action.
number 5, Carly Dreyfus.
A minute and a half remaining. EastCon trying to break out. UMass Boston holds them in. Alston up the sideline, skips through to Kelly McNeil. Slides across to Kaylee Sullivan. Long pass ahead. Anderson. Good position, seals it off. Anderson whistles a pass over to Haynes. Oh, a bicycle try from Keeley. Beacons are going to try anything right now to even this game up. Inside of a minute to go. Pass is broken up. McNeil recovers the loose ball, and it's ejected. Warriors ball. Clock stops again at about 35 seconds. And UMass Boston's going to need to pull a couple rabbits out of a couple different hats here to tie this game. Ball's over to the side. Throw in for Eastern. Inside of 30 seconds to go. Warriors looking to open conference play with a win. Pass broken up. DiBiasio on the far sideline. Beacons eject it.
10
10-second count is in effect.
8, 7, 6,
Down to the other side of the field it goes. And that's going to do it. Alexi Root's goal will prove the equalizer, and East Con will celebrate today. The deciding goal comes from Alexi Root. And the Beacons lose another tough one. Another one-goal loss for Amy Zombeck's squad. They are 0-4-2 to start the season. East Con improves to 2-1-2 on the year in front of new head coach Sarah Tompkins. And for the Beacons, it was not necessarily for lack of chances. They won the shots on goal and corner kick categories. The corner kick category handily. But East Con still comes away with the win here at Monin Soccer Field. Going to give you a couple of things here before we sign off. First is the upcoming schedule. The Beacons with a non-conference tilt in the middle of the week against Wheaton College. That one's going to come at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. It's a road game. Another road game to follow a week from today against Plymouth State University. A couple days after that, non-conference against Worcester Polytechnic before resuming conference play the following weekend against Southern Maine, followed by a non-conference against Salve Regina, and it'll more or less alter conference to non-conference from there on out. And for the Beacons, some offensive questions to be answered as they pivot toward the heart of the season. For East Con, it certainly wasn't pretty, and I don't think Sarah Tompkins will tell you they necessarily played their best soccer. But they did what they had to do, and they came out with a 1-0 win. Before we sign off, I want to say a thank you to our crew. Does such a wonderful job bringing you these games, putting them on for you, and making sure we can get to every home game here at Monin Soccer Field for the women's team, for the men's soccer team, for volleyball, for anyone else playing. To our producer, Michael Vesci, Tam Landry directing, and to Maddie Casford on the camera. I'm Milton Posner. Thank you so very much for watching. Once again, the final score from Monin Soccer Field: Eastern Connecticut State 1, UMass Boston 0. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.